In this episode of the Sci-Fi Ideas podcast, we talk about verbose death cults, social conflicts of the future, and dolphins in mech suits.
Hello, you're listening to the Sci-Fi Ideas podcast with me, Mark Ball, and joining me, as always, is David Ball.
Hello.
Hello. It's been a while since we recorded a podcast.
Yeah, like 2 months.
Yeah.
The last time we did it was Alien August, and it's
It
now,
was the end of Alien August.
October.
In fact, somebody emailed me asking if the podcast had been cancelled.
Oh, no! No, it's not cancelled, we're just lazy. Well,
Yeah.
no, you're lazy. I was ready to do it last weekend.
I was hungover.
Yeah, that's not helpful, is it?
It's not just laziness, though. We have both been very busy. We've been working on a special side project.
Oh, yeah, true.
We've been developing a card game,
Ah, yes.
which we should tell people about, not just as an excuse for why we've not been doing the podcast, but also because it's interesting. And I think
It is sci-fi related, isn't it?
it is sci-fi, and well, a lot of people have been messaging saying that they're interested.
Has it got a title yet?
Well, at the minute, I'm calling it Game Trek,
Game Trek, the card game.
as in kind of
Right.
completely unashamed of the fact that it's Star Trek based.
Yeah, but it's not. It's not Star Trek based, though, is it?
It's not, and it was never intended to be Star Trek based. I wanted to pull in a lot of references to a lot of different sci-fi, but the tricky thing is, everything sci-fi is also in Star Trek.
Yeah, because Star Trek's like a platform for lots of sci-fi, isn't it? Really, it's a
Yeah.
platform for lots of different types of sci-fi.
So I've been looking at different types of weapons that I can include in the game, and I'm searching on all these different wikis for different sci-fi franchises, and everything has also been in Star Trek. And so
That's all right.
you find that once you've got a teleporter in there, whatever else you mention could be from any sci-fi franchise, it's automatically associated with Star Trek.
You might. How about not calling it a teleporting? Well, in fact, in Star Trek they never call it a teleporter.
They call it a transporter. That's why I call it teleporter, to try and leave a bit of a distance there.
Yeah, but everyone calls it teleporter. You could call it a matter energy beam emitter.
I could, but then it's
Molecularizer.
a bit unclear about what it actually does then.
Ah, that's the thing. That is the good thing about Star Trek, I suppose. It's in popular conscience. The popular
Consciousness, exactly, yeah.
consciousness, that's it. Tell everyone more about what the game is about.
The game is about... hang on.
Oh my god, right, even I can explain this better than you.
I'm going to pull up my the instructions. I've written down a draft of the instructions.
You made it, you don't need the instructions.
I know, but I've been trying to figure out the best way of explaining it, and so I've written it down.
Alright, fine.
And so I'll start by reading the first few paragraphs from this. The introduction, right? It says, "You are a spaceship. All other players are hostile enemy spaceships. The aim of the game is to destroy your enemies by dealing a total of 100 damage to them throughout the game, while also preventing them from dealing 100 damage to you. Take turns to draw and play cards, build your ship, and disrupt enemy activity, all while trying to blast your opponents into oblivion."
Right, good. Yeah, that's quite clear.
Yeah?
That's quite good.
Okay. There's a bit more.
Right.
Damage can be dealt in a number of ways, but it is usually the result of a player firing a weapon. Keep a notepad handy to record damage as it is dealt. Once a player has accrued 100 damage, their ship is destroyed, and they are out of the game. The surviving player wins. That's even more clear. Maybe that's too much.
That's the whole instructions. Okay, I'm going to assume what most of our sci-fi ideas fans are going to be thinking right now. What's in it for me? What's in it for people who like sci-fi ideas?
That's a bit of a weird question. That's what's in any game.
Well, can this be used to generate ideas?
Probably not. It's just... what do you want from me? It's a game. The idea is to kill your opponent's ship.
Yeah, but there are sci-fi ideas in it, aren't there? There's shields, there's different ways to attack.
There are, yes.
There's alien species in there. There's different
yeah.
locations that you can be in. There's asteroid fields and planets home.
That's right, yes. So the players can change the location at which the space battle is going on by playing a location card that affects all players.
Yeah, so you can be like change it to being a nebula, and then that means that energy weapons don't work, but missiles do.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Although it's,
So
it's
there's
two types of nebulas,
ideas.
one where shields don't work, one where teleporters don't work.
Yeah. Okay.
The teleporter thing I think is quite unique in this game. I don't know any other game that does this, where you can teleport items, use certain item cards that require you to have the teleporter to teleport, say, biological weapons to the enemy ship and kill the crew.
Yeah. So it's kind of more like playing something like Star Trek Online, or that. Do you remember that Star Trek game that was? It was sort of 2D. I can't think what it's called. Something like. It wasn't Armada, was it? Because that was more of the RTS game.
Yeah.
It was that game where you had lots of buffs and you could do things like transport crew to another ship, and they would start doing lots of damage. You might be able to do that on Star Trek Online. I don't even know, but it reminds me of that.
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
We definitely played it, but I can't think what it was called.
I think this is quite similar to FTL.
Sort of, but you don't move the people around the crew.
You don't know, obviously, because it's just
similar
a card game,
in that it has crew, and each of those crew might be a different race.
Yeah.
And so they've got different abilities for those races, haven't they?
Yeah. In fact, all of the crew have unique special abilities.
Oh yeah, okay.
Which makes the crew very important cards.
Yeah.
Because you also require crew to use certain components, certain weapons. The high-powered weapons need you to have a weapons officer to fire them. So the crew are the most important cards in the game, really, which I think makes it fun because it makes it maybe a bit easier to role play a little bit as you're playing.
Oh yeah, okay. Because you can think about the individual characters.
Yeah, as in just for fun, just to have a laugh while you're playing.
Yeah.
So yes, we have been playtesting this quite heavily over the past few weeks. It's just an idea in progress at the minute, and it's changed a lot since we've started playtesting it. And we're getting there. We're getting to something quite good, I think.
Don't have any designs yet, but I think that's
that's secondary, isn't it? Yeah. But that's kind of the point that we're at now. Is that's the next step, isn't it?
Right, that's my job. Right,
yeah.
I'll do it. I know.
To release some kind of alpha version or beta version.
Oh, that's a good point. Should we ask if people want to email us? Might maybe send them a version.
Possibly, yeah. We're not entirely sure what we're doing with that yet, but if you are interested, then please do let us know and give us some encouragement.
Encouragement's good.
Encouragement is very good.
Because projects like this always end up sort of getting left.
yes, they do.
Yeah. Right, should we talk about some articles that you've posted recently?
We can do, yes. We'll be keeping everyone up to speed with that game over the next few months. But the entire next year, we'll keep bugging people about it and eventually be telling you all to buy it.
God, that sounds horrible.
You're the one who's always telling me that I need to promote more.
yeah, definitely. Okay. Yeah, you're right, actually. Right, let's talk about some articles.
Okay.
Shall we talk about the Fungal Hound? Do you remember posting this one?
I do, yes. That's going back a while now.
Yeah, because that was some really cool artwork by... I don't even know, I can't remember the artwork, but it's on the site. And so that was this creature that you could use in your story, which is sort of half mammal and half fungus.
Mm.
And you were essentially asking the question, is this possible? And
what was the response?
Well, we got some comments from this, and we got John H. Ryer saying, yeah, it is possible. Well, it is plausible. It's like the zombie ants.
Mm.
Do you know
yes.
what he means with that?
Yes, I do.
I'm sure there's a better name than zombie ants, but I'm not sure. Where it's a fungus, isn't it? That will infect an ant, make it climb up a tree or something like that, and then it does something really creepy, like bites onto the branch of the tree, and then the fungus starts growing out of its brain.
Oh, that's right, yeah. So it's actually mind controlling it, telling it to go to a place where the fungus will thrive, and clinging on there and dying, and becoming like a flower pot for the fungus.
So yeah. I was watching Fringe the other day, and they had this episode where there was a virus in this tower block, and the virus was, I think it was engineered to make people try and escape out of this place to spread itself. So everyone was kind of acting a little bit zombie-ish. They weren't acting like themselves. They really wanted to escape. Is that possible?
I don't know about a virus, but a fungus. It's been proven to be possible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true. We also got a comment from Future Bound Entertainment, says that they're not sure if it's plausible, but it sounds delicious.
Right, okay.
We had a comment from a guy called Noah, says that using it in a story would be difficult.
Why is that?
Well, I think with a lot of these creature concepts, it might be an interesting idea for a story, but how would you... Sorry, it's an interesting idea, but how do you actually weave that into a story, other than saying, here's a creature?
If it's a story about the creature attacking people, if it's a simple kind of monster story, like, say, Alien, then that would be very useful, but it would be a very simple story.
Well, that's true, yeah, we've seen that sort of story before. It's just person is chased by a monster.
But this gives you a new way to kill the monster. You could use fungicide to kill it.
I suppose so, yeah. I suppose it's a new take on an old trope, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Another thing that we posted was the alien, the Babusi.
Ah, yes, yeah.
Do you want to explain about that?
This is what I've been... I was going to write for Alien August, actually, but didn't have time. The Babosi are a species who are dying out. They have a virus that people that doesn't kill, it makes them infertile. And so their population numbers are in massive decline. And they're at the point now where there's still no cure. They are pretty sure that their species will die out. And they're obsessed with undoing all the influence that they've had on the universe. And so they've terraformed a nearby planet. They've had to do a lot of work on their own planet as well because they're amphibious, they're like swamps, and they've had to like tame the deserts of their world. And so they're now obsessed with undoing all of that and restoring the natural order of things before they die. And they have this religious government that's taken over that it's a death cult, basically.
It's called the Parambakui.
And they've actually set a date for the destruction of the species. And they say all this work has to be done by then because that is when we'll die. But they keep changing the date because it's a lot harder than they think to kind of unterraform this nearby planet.
Right, okay.
There's a little bit of a story thread as well at the bottom there. I said that some of the Babosi have escaped to human-controlled space and started a small colony, hoping to get away...
The ones that want to survive.
The ones that want to survive, to get away from the Parambakui. They're hoping we can have a cure for them, but we haven't. And they're campaigning, saying that we should intervene on their homeworld and get rid of this corrupt government. But we're very uncertain about that because what's the point? They're all going to die out. But the Parambakui, obviously, they'll be wanting to kill these refugees, won't they? It puts us at odds with them.
It's weird, isn't it? This sort of like religious government that want to kill themselves.
Yeah.
But I don't know how plausible. I suppose it is plausible because that could happen.
It is.
Extreme circumstances make people do extreme things.
Yeah, and I put in a little bit of a justification in there about an ancient funerary rite where when a person died, it was then forbidden to speak his name, and all of his possessions would be destroyed.
Ooh.
And so it's showing that there's a precedent in their culture for this kind of destruction of everything owned by the dead.
Yeah, okay. Well, the comments that we had on that, we had Paulo R. Mendez. He wanted to use that in the universe that he's writing about. But his idea are that humans have a cure, but the Babosi refuse to use it.
Ah, yeah.
Because the
Parambakui could be keeping that secret, yeah.
Yeah. And then he says that the Parambakui ally themselves with the Jaguarian Imperium, and he calls that a typical space Nazi empire.
Of course, yes.
One of those.
One of
typical
them, yeah.
space Nazi empire. And John H. Ryer, says it's... Now he starts then saying that it's unlikely that such a devastating virus will just appear, because viruses usually evolve, obviously, like everything, and one that's so devastating doesn't just appear out of the blue. So thinks that maybe it's an artificial virus, perhaps created by the Parambakui Kui
Government.
cult.
Yes, I love that idea. That's brilliant. Now, there you've got an antagonist, and you've got to set up for a story. Brilliant.
Yeah, definitely. That's good. Right, so we need someone to write it then.
Yeah.
Definitely get it written. Somebody. John.
Yes.
Get it
Yeah.
Okay, what's next? So I've been posting. Well, we post lots of story ideas and things. I've been posting really short ones on Facebook and Twitter. Just ones that have got a picture. I found a nice picture and posted that, thinking just that might inspire someone.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
a few of those got sort of picked up by people. They obviously were inspirational.
Yeah.
So I posted a picture of this spaceship that's sort of flying into. It's like a hole in a planet. It was kind of dramatic.
Yeah.
And Thaddeus Howes wrote a story about that, and quite a long one as well. It was quite a substantial thing. And then we have posted. You posted that the other day, didn't you?
Yeah, that one's been posted. Yeah, we've got quite a few of these that have been sent via Facebook are coming up in the next few weeks.
Yeah, so he posted this story called Nervous Stomach, and that's about an ensign approaching this warp gate. So that's what the big hole in the planet was. It's a warp gate that's been created by these species called the precursors. It doesn't go into any more detail about that because it's not really about. That's only a mention of what's going on. And apparently this gate goes into P space. I assume P for precursors. And when they enter this, when they go through the gate, apparently hurts like a son of a bitch is exactly what he said.
Oh right, okay.
But it's very similar to Babylon 5, isn't it, with jump gates?
Yeah. Well, that's quite a common thing. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say about it actually hurting, though.
Well, that's the interesting thing about it. The closest thing that I can think is in Hitchhikers, where they say that when they go to light speed, it makes you go all dizzy, and you've got to drink
that's a very common
peanuts.
thing.
Drink beer and eat peanuts.
Yeah, it's very common to be disoriented going into hyperspace. I remember when I was in primary school, I read a really short kids' book, basically just about somebody going through hyperspace, and that was one of the things in that. I always remember it was something that really inspired me to get into science fiction as a kid, but it shows how old that idea is of disorientation. But I've never heard it be actual pain.
Do you know what the story was?
The story, as I remember, it was literally just somebody getting on a spaceship and going through a jump gate. That was all the story was,
okay.
I think.
Well, that's fine.
But it was just, to me, at that age, it was a brilliant concept.
Well, I think we find that with a lot of things, don't we? That sometimes a simple idea, to some people, it's amazing.
Yes.
But then once you've heard that idea before, you feel like you've moved on from that.
Yeah. It must have by then been a very old idea for a kid's author to write probably quite a crappy little book about it. But as a kid, it was amazing. And that was made me want to be a sci-fi writer, I think.
Wow.
Well,
okay.
It's just one of those things that affected me at that age that I still remember. It's one of the things I can point to,
Good.
It was probably the only sci-fi book on all the shelves in the entire school, so...
There was another... I posted a picture of a spaceship, and it was actually one of the large carriers from... oh God, what's that game called?
Robert Space Industries.
Yes, that one.
The game that has taken several $1 million in Kickstarter money and is taken
still
forever.
Got no sign of coming out.
Yeah. Star Citizen.
It's taken them ages. Well, they are building an entire universe.
Oh yeah. Which it looks brilliant. It looks amazing.
It does look
I just
brilliant,
can't wait to play it.
Yeah, I posted on the Sci-Fi Ideas Facebook. There was a video that they'd made, sort of like introduction to.
Oh, I've just watched
like
that. I've just watched that today. It was brilliant.
It's an in-world advert, I think.
Yes.
For Robert Space Industries.
Yeah.
So they were on a ship. These people on a ship. They land on a planet. There's some aliens there, sort of cautiously watching them. And as they sort of stand on the sand, they get out of the spaceship, stand on the sand. It's got the Robert Space Industries logo on their boots.
Yeah. But it was a brilliant short animation.
It was brilliant. Yeah, it doesn't really
how
do
much
anything.
time
It's not
and money has gone
original.
into making this animation. Why aren't they do that for the game?
Well, I think because they can get lots of different people doing different things. If you're employing artists and programmers and people doing concept things and motion graphics and things like that. Then everyone's going to just work on separate things, and so they can all just do all these things, these separate threaded things, and it does make it exciting.
And it just shows to people, this is what we can do, this is what we are doing, and this game is going to be amazing.
Yeah, the creativity of it. And it was when they opened up the, what do you call it, like the dock of the ship, and then this car starts coming out, thinking, this is going to be an amazing game.
The ship designs are brilliant. There's so much thought being put into all the details.
Yeah.
So this is Chris Roberts, who was the man behind Wing Commander.
Yeah.
Just for those people that don't know, which I'm sure most people do now, because this is so big.
I don't know if it is. I think you've got to be in the.
If you're in the PC gaming world, then this is big and known, but there might still be some people out there that don't know.
But then I don't know. People have different circles, don't they?
Yeah.
I bet there's people that are into sci-fi who may never have seen all the classics that we've seen. Like
of course.
Babylon 5 and Star Trek and Farscape and Stargate and all those.
And there are many things that we haven't seen that I'm sure maybe some of our, I can't say our older listeners, but we have a lot of listeners that are older than us, will say, they haven't read that,
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I've not read that I really should have read.
Yeah.
A lot of, I've not read Ringworld. I know you have.
I was just going to say, because you posted something on the Facebook page, a picture on the Facebook page of a ship nearby a Ringworld, and Jake Salt, who's one of our younger fans, was saying, it's a Halo. It's obviously
it's definitely
from
Halo. Definitely from Halo. Whereas the other people who
are older than him and who have read Ringworld, they say, no, it's definitely a Ringworld.
Definitely Ringworld, yeah. So that's the thing that divides people, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you reckon people even older would go, no, that's from the thing before Ringworld? Or was...
Oh, no, Ringworld was revolutionary.
Haha.
I'm
Classic.
sure.
Revolutionary. It revolves.
Oh.
Around the star. Another thing that we posted on Facebook was, I think you posted from IO9, which is a website, an article titled, "Which religions would have the hardest time accepting alien life?" And classic Facebook. I don't think people actually read the article, but they immediately go on and start commenting and things. And there was some smart comments on there, some not so much, some a little bit ignorant. And
comment bait, isn't it?
And you, as usual, when people start talking about religion, they will start talking about the religions that they don't like, and the religions that they do like.
Yeah.
But anyway, Eric Holland says that, as stupid as it sounds, he thinks that Mormonism or Scientology will have the hardest time accepting alien life, and the reason is because they actually have a definite idea of what space and the universe around them is like.
Yeah.
Whereas the older, more traditional religions don't really mention it much at all, so therefore probably would be able to accept if aliens start coming to this planet. And Joseph Henningham said that the old religions will probably accept it as it means more people for them to convert. I just thought that was brilliant, that I don't know, like the Catholic Church just accepts these aliens with open arms, going, please convert to our religion.
And then maybe at some point in the future we could have an alien pope.
Well, yeah, why not? And so I just imagine this sort of religious, I don't want to say battle because that sounds a bit too negative, but this struggle for all the religions to accept the most aliens into to their religion.
They're the most diverse.
Yeah. I thought that would make quite an interesting story.
Well, somebody posted a link to a short story about an alien priest, or was he an alien? What's the term? Missionary.
Okay.
By George R. Martin.
Oh.
And I haven't read this story yet. I keep forgetting to read it because it sounds brilliant.
Damn it, I thought you were going to tell me all about it. That sounds really interesting.
I meant to read it before we recorded this. I forgot, sorry.
I did listen to one on Escape Pod. They recorded a story about a priest on Mars, and they had this sort of what would you call it? Somebody spotted Jesus.
Okay.
On Mars somewhere. So I think people are living in domes, just the classic sort of Mars thing.
Jesus.
Yeah, they spotted Jesus.
I spot Jesus every day. You're walking down the street, you go, oh, look, that guy looks like Jesus.
Oh, what you mean, a guy with a beard and long
Yeah.
hair?
How did they know it was Jesus?
No, they saw someone who looks like Jesus out in the on one of the Martian dunes,
Right.
and so then it brought lots of people wanting to see it, wanted to do sort of like a pilgrimage to the site, and it just increased.
How did people? Why did people think it was Jesus and not just a bloke?
Well, because he was. I don't know. It doesn't matter. As soon as you say Jesus is there, all these people start coming, and it increased trade and traffic and holiday makers, and they started making loads of money out of it. And it doesn't really matter if they saw this what do you call it? This visualization or a sighting or whatever.
Yeah.
It could have been a ghost, could have been a shadow, could have been just anything a bit weird.
A weird looking rock.
Could have been a weird looking rock. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. But loads of people start coming and they think that it's now a holy place.
Mm.
And it was a short story, and I think that was just it.
Yeah.
And I'm probably not doing it justice at all, but it was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, I've finished reading Stephen Lyle Jordan's book. This is the first in the Kestrel Voyages series.
Oh, yes. Life Beyond Berserker?
My Life After Berserker.
My Life After Berserker.
Yeah. And that's about Commander Carolyn Kestrel. She's someone who she used to be in what's called the Rangers, but has now left that. And then she has a ship that she's doing trading. So it's a bit like Firefly.
Yeah.
It's a bit like that because they're taking these missions, and it's just trading really. They're getting cargo, taking that to another place. That's the whole setup of the universe.
Yeah.
And the universe it's a bit similar to Star Trek. There's lots of places that are colonized, and they can just go between different places. But there's no aliens.
Okay, yeah.
So that's another reason why it feels more like Firefly. Because in Firefly there's no aliens.
So it's just Gelfs.
There are just Gelfs, yeah, Gelfs, genetically engineered life forms. But they're all human. Everyone is human, but they're just genetically modified in some way.
Yeah.
So there's some people, instead of having hair, they have feathers. Yeah. And there's the major antagonists have 3 legs and are sort of a bit spidery, I think.
Okay.
And it got a little bit sexy in some places.
Ooh.
Because it mentioned that this lady had feather, like pubic feathers.
Oh.
Oh my god. Oh. Okay.
But these are all humans, so they're all going to be sexually compatible, surely.
Yeah, of course. They did have they had a married couple on the ship as well. So again, another thing that made it feel a bit more like Firefly.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
The best thing about it, actually, the best thing was the world building, but the second best thing is that they have a typical bridge style scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And Stephen Lyle Jordan even said in his thing at the end of the book, and he said before in articles that I've seen, that he was going to base it on Star Trek to start with.
Yeah.
It's going to be Star Trek fan fiction, but didn't want to limit the audience, so wanted to just make it more.
We talked about this in an early episode of the podcast, I think.
I think we have, yeah. And the thing is, it's more modern than that. The pilot has a tablet that he uses to control the ship.
Right.
With, because you don't need to sit there at a workstation or a computer and do all these things. Even now we've got tablets that we can just take away and do things sort of on the go.
Yeah.
And so this character just walks around the ship and can control major functions of the ship from this.
I mean, you're not controlling
iPad.
It with a joystick, are you? Like
no.
I mean, like in Star Trek Insurrection, where Riker gets his joystick out from the middle of the floor. That's just silly. Why not control it with a pad anywhere in bed?
Yeah.
Even.
Yeah. Well, that's something that I've never seen in any other science fiction
Yeah.
show or film or book.
Well, that's probably because the bridge is a really useful set piece. It's a place to get all of the crew together for certain types of scene, isn't it?
But isn't it also quite limiting? I'm thinking about Farscape, where the pilot has to stay on the ship, and if they want to talk to the pilot, they pretty much just have to like go down to pilot.
Yeah.
And then it just makes it awkward for storytelling.
I think the brilliant thing about Pilot is you just let Pilot get on with it. He's not really a main character. Well, he is, but all the more important characters can be wherever they want to be doing whatever, and you don't have to worry about the actual operation of the ship. Just Pilot's doing it.
Like on Star Trek, it's always a bit weird because all the people that are doing the major functions of the ship end up going down to a planet, and you think,
like,
well,
who's in charge?
who's controlling it?
Yeah.
Who's controlling it up there? And then you might want to have the two stories where you want to show what's going on the ship and then what's going on the planet, and then you've got to have these backup characters doing things on the bridge.
Yeah.
And you think, who are you? Who are you? You're not a major character. I don't care about you.
Oh, but then you do, and then you've got like fodder for. You can get to know them, can get to care about them, then they can die without affecting anything.
Well, yeah.
But then you get Chief O'Brien emerges as a brilliant character.
Yeah, true, he does, but he's rare. Yeah. And also, it just means that you're spreading it out, spreading out the major roles amongst these mediocre characters, when it would be better if you had the stronger characters. I think, anyway, fewer stronger characters is better than
and then just have
a whole
one
myriad
side
of boring
character
people
that actually controls the ship.
Yeah.
Maybe down in his dungeon like Pilot.
Well, he could just be walking around with a tablet.
Yeah, and then interacting with people. Or he could just be in his bedroom doing it in bed. That would be weird.
Why not?
Oh, I tell you what would be interesting is if there's like some kind of VR system.
Right.
Like a Mobius Rift that he has to wear to see the ship's sensors and everything. And he could be walking around wearing
Oculus
that
Rift.
And be kind of simultaneously aware of what's around him and of the ship and its functions as well. That would be interesting.
I think they did that on the Babylon 5 Legend of the Rangers.
Did they?
Didn't they? Oh, no, it was similar, but they had the pilot, the person who's controlling the ship, standing in this sort of holographic bubble, and she could throw things like fireballs, and that would show that the ship is shooting.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah.
Didn't really work very well. It was a terrible short film. I can't remember, actually. I think it was a feature-length episode.
Yeah, it was a pilot episode, wasn't it?
Was it? Yeah, it wasn't very good.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Some people might have enjoyed it.
No, I agree. As brilliant as Babylon 5 was, the spin-offs have been terrible.
Yeah, disappointing.
Yeah.
I think, though, the reason why is because they did a continuous story, but that continuous
it ended,
finished.
Yeah.
It ended, yeah.
And then
just summed up quite a lot of...
It's a perfectly good universe. You can put other stories in that universe, but none of the stories they came up with were as good as the original. So...
Yeah, that is a shame.
So what do you think about the remake of Babylon 5, what can we say, a relaunch that's possibly happening?
Possibly happening. I don't know anything about it.
As a movie?
Really?
Or a series
Other
of
than,
movies? Yeah.
That's all I know, but these are just rumours.
Yeah, well, it's J. Michael Straczynski himself has said that he's working on it. But is it just a pipe dream of his, or... Babylon 5 was just a pipe dream of his. Nobody wanted to fund it, and so he ended up funding it himself. He found a way to get it done.
Yeah.
So if he wants to do something, and this is his baby, his magnum opus, really, then he's got to find a way to do it.
Is doing the story that we know, he can't possibly fit that into a film.
That's the worry. Yeah, it just won't work.
The story that we know is an epic story over, 5 series?
Yep.
Or maybe 4 series. The 5th one was a bit
he managed
shaky, wasn't it?
Well, he was told he wasn't getting a season 5, so he finished off the story quite quickly in 4 series. Then in season 5, he was starting to expand on that there was unfinished story about the telepath war and that kind of thing.
Yeah. I think that it would be good because I love Babylon 5, and as much as I love it, I think there's a lot of people, the younger generation or the people that are getting into sci-fi right now, probably won't start watching it because it looks so dated.
It has dated very poorly. But it's a
The
brilliant
sets
story
look
that
terrible,
people should
the
get
costumes
into.
look terrible.
Yeah.
The aliens looked alright.
The aliens
but...
looked better than anything else at that time, I would say.
Yeah.
They looked more alien than the aliens in Star Trek.
Alright, what do you think about that? Because we did post an article, and I think it was by Stephen Lyle Jordan, and it was talking about the aliens in Star Trek not being that alien.
Well, it was talking about social conflict in Star Trek.
Yeah.
Star Trek's main aim was to provide social conflict and show how in the future society is more accepting. And so one of the conversations that came out of that was the aliens were never that different. And so this whole idea of people with differences can get along, well, they're not really that different. So maybe the message is lost a little bit.
Yeah.
It's much harder to get along with giant spiders.
But it was mostly supposed to be an allegory for
how we can
how
get along with each other.
How people can get along.
Yeah.
And if you start putting lots of bug-eyed monsters in there, I think you lose some of the message.
Yeah.
Won't you? It makes it more of a cartoon. It makes it more of a kids' film.
But you could also say that it punctuates the morality more, though. If the bad guys that they're trying to find peace with and trying to get along with are so very different to us, they're giant spiders who eat babies, and then you've got a moral decision of should we kill them or should we be friends with them, that decision is a bit more, like I say, punctuated.
Yeah. I suppose they never had that episode where a baby-eating spider tried to join the Federation and they had to decide whether that's moral or not.
Should they be allowed to join the crew? Yeah, will there be a danger to Wesley Crusher?
I suppose that's I suppose that's where Torchwood actually did some good stuff because
that's true.
That did those sort of difficult plots, and I think 90% of it, unfortunately, was not to my liking. But
it wasn't good enough. But it was trying in some ways, yeah.
But they were trying to do those interesting plots, the kind of things that Doctor Who touches on, but doesn't take that far.
Yeah. But with the Stephen Lyle Jordan article, I think it's a shame that a lot of people were saying that Star Trek didn't go far enough. It didn't show enough social conflict. I think for its time it did. I think looking back on it now, I mean, a lot of people have talked about the gay, lesbian, transgender issues, which it really doesn't talk about much, and when it does, it kind of cops out a little bit. But this was the...
Did it not?
Well, people talk about there was that one episode where Riker falls in love with a genderless alien.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And people are saying, well, they copped out by having a female actress.
Ah, right.
And it didn't go as far as resolving the issue, and instead she was fixed.
Really?
Yeah. And people are disappointed by that, saying that, I don't know, it's a bit of a cop-out.
Really
they didn't resolve the issue. They just showed that there is an issue there.
Yeah.
But it's an old show. And yeah, today, if we were to do that, if there was a new series of Star Trek, which there should be, it could tackle those issues in a much bigger way.
Yeah, you could be a lot more extreme in the things that it portrays now.
Yeah.
And because our ideas of what's taboo now are completely different.
Yeah.
You can show a lot more on TV now.
Mm.
You can certainly approach more topics. People are more accepting of really weird things.
Yeah.
And you could do a lot. You could do a lot with stories. You could do a lot with the style of it.
They could approach the transgender issue in a much better way because it's become a topic that people are aware of more.
People are aware of it, and
gay and lesbian relationships are normal, and so they can not only have gay and lesbian relationships in the crew, they can approach, I don't know, but maybe a bigger issue within that.
Yeah, I think back then when they made those episodes, they were probably just pointing it out, making people think about it. Whereas now, the whole society has a thought about it, has become accepting of it. Well, apart from a few people, I suppose. and and we now have an idea of what is acceptable.
Yeah.
But then the idea of what's acceptable is always changing.
So what's the next thing? What is unacceptable or kind of weird to us that will, in the next few years, be acceptable?
Polygamy?
Possibly, yeah, yeah.
What? Things like that, yeah. I think they even mentioned that because I'm sure one alien species had 3 genders. Is that right? I think it was an episode of Deep Space Nine. They mentioned it that it took 3 of them to make a family.
Oh, there was an episode in Enterprise.
Oh, it was Enterprise.
Yeah, which I
okay.
suppose it's the more modern one, so it's maybe tackling more modern issues. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where this was a bit weird, wasn't it? The 3rd gender was had no rights, and they were being used kind of like a walking fertility treatment.
Yeah. I'm glad that they do stuff like that because it does make you think about.
What was that trying to make us think about, though? Slavery,
I
maybe?
don't know.
Or...
Oh, it's sort of combining a few things, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just human rights.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where you just got to think about what is acceptable and what's not.
And put it in a context that we're maybe unfamiliar with, and that makes us reevaluate, the core morality.
It's a very moral show, isn't it? I think. In that it makes you think about morality. And it doesn't just show aliens and bug-eyed monsters just because it's fun. It actually does make you think about it, which is why I'm glad that they didn't just have a puppet alien for everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it would lose something, I think, if you just sort of made it just feel like a kids' show.
I suppose it would. If Riker fell in love with a giant spider with no gender, would be asking quite different questions about that episode, wouldn't we?
I want to see that episode. No, I want someone to write that. Write it and send it in. Actually, no, don't, because that might be a bit.
You know that will exist somewhere on the internet.
I'm googling it right now.
Okay, let's talk about jewellery that turns your blood into a power source. This is an interesting story. Somebody called Naomi Kisner, a graduate student in Israel, has created this jewellery that, actually, I don't think it works. I think it's just a proof of concept. It's part of an art project she's doing called Energy Addicts or something. She's made this jewellery. One of them, actually, you put it on your arm, and it taps into your veins, and the blood flows through it, turns a little wheel, powers a generator.
Oh. So the blood comes out of your body and goes back in again.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a little dam, like a little hydroelectric dam, a plasma electric dam.
What does it generate?
Electricity, a very small amount of electricity. But you could use that to power a phone, or your smartwatch if that future actually happens.
Oh my god! So your smartwatch can actually be connected to your bloodstream.
Yeah, which is kind of turning you into a cyborg in a way.
Could also analyse your blood and see if you've got any infections.
It could, yeah.
I don't think people would go for it, would they?
I don't know. I think in a future where
unless there is a health benefit,
people talk about body modding becoming a fashion in the future. I can see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is a guy who he calls himself the world's first cyborg. He's actually got technology implanted inside him, although a lot of us do for medical reasons. This guy's done it for weird fashion reasons.
Oh, is this the guy that just stuck a phone in his arm?
Yeah.
It's something like that, isn't it? Just stuck a smartphone.
It's a small computer
below his skin.
I think it does just monitor his health.
Oh, right, okay. So there is a benefit. It's not just he's done it because.
I think, has someone done it with a phone? I think they might have done it with a phone since.
I'm sure I saw someone just stick a smartphone inside his skin.
Oh my god.
There was a guy as well who's, I don't know how common this is, there might be many people, but has a camera on his face, and it's actually attached to his face.
Really?
And because he can't see.
Yeah.
Although it could be that he did it for choice reasons. I don't know. But he had a problem. He went into a restaurant. I think it was a fast food restaurant, and the people didn't like it. They thought that they were being filmed, and so they started quite dramatically attacking him. I think.
Yeah.
I think they tried to pull it off, but it's attached to him, so it caused problems.
Okay,
This was
so
like
this is a
year ago.
future social issue, isn't it? That
Yeah,
we've got to have body modders in the future. That seems quite clear. This is moving along quite quickly, isn't it? So people's
Yeah.
reaction to that is something that needs to be tackled in sci-fi.
yeah, definitely. Well, in Star Trek, they had the Borg, and the Borg was definitely bad, and they were the examples of body modding.
Cyborgs usually are bad, aren't they?
Yeah. I don't know. Do we assume that they are definitely bad just because they've got cyborgy bits?
Well, I think literature, media has taught us to assume that a cyborg is bad. We're also going to see these people and think, oh, they're weird. I don't understand them. I fear them, and therefore don't like them.
Yeah. I suppose in that way, Star Trek wasn't very tolerant, was it? But in fact, no. I'm going to say that the Borg are definitely bad because they remove your individuality.
Yeah, they were like the anti-Federation. They were the perfect antithesis of what the Federation was about.
Yeah, because the Federation's about everyone being unique and individual, whereas the Borg, you all sort of merge into one, and you remove your
individuality and your freedom. Yeah.
Yeah. Did they have any other examples of? They did one episode of Deep Space Nine where a woman had a socket in her head and she plugged something in. I think she hacked a computer.
Oh, right, yeah.
That's something that I thought
that was
we'd see
just kind
more
of a little bit of kind of Gibson-esque.
Yeah. What other stories have that sort of thing? In fact, I saw there was a Doctor Who not that long ago. Not a very good episode, but there was a man who could plug things into his brain, and he did a delete, which is a convenient thing. Just delete your brain. All right.
Okay.
But at least that's showing it, and it's kind of forcing these things to come into the forefront. And so maybe in, say, 20 years' time, we'll be looking back at those things thinking, oh, they're not really doing anything with that concept.
But it's still
but at least
helpful in the ongoing fight for cyborg rights, yeah.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about things like people wearing GoPros on their heads, which is the camera,
yeah,
and also the Google Glass, which can sort of film things. People could be filming, walking around the whole street.
Yeah, this whole surveillance thing is people have a big bug up their ass about it. Every day on Facebook you see some kind of video, some message saying the internet is trying to steal your information because some bad people want to do something bad. It's like, what?
Just friends with lunatics.
People, you walk down the street, people look at you. I don't care if they're filming it. They can see. They're already recording me with their eyes and their brains.
That's my opinion, but a lot of people have different opinions.
Yeah, well, I understand that information is then collected and sold and can be used in certain ways, but most of those ways are benign. Mostly it's to try and sell you a certain product, which is fine.
Is it fine?
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with advertising? It's a better form of advertising than making crap adverts and sending out spam.
I do agree with that. That they should be more smart with the advertising.
Adverts are annoying. If they're targeted at me, they're less annoying. So that's fine.
Yeah, because then they'll actually be useful rather than... Yeah, it won't actually be advertising then. It'll be just useful knowledge.
Exactly, yeah. The one way in which this whole information kind of collecting a profile on you can be slightly worrying is the notion of pre-crime. The idea that they can build a profile on you and predict that you are likely to commit certain types of crime. That's
it's like how
worrying.
Supermarkets might know that you're pregnant.
Exactly, yes, and that happens
because they know the kind of things that pregnant people would buy at certain stages.
Yeah.
And so then they might know what you're going to buy next, might give you a voucher for something pregnancy related.
Apparently there was also a sat-nav company in somewhere in Europe, might have been Germany or Austria. They actually started collecting information on people's speed and actually giving that to the police to issue speeding tickets. Yeah,
that's when it gets a bit funny, isn't
it?
Because that's not useful for you as the device owner.
But I mean, it's encouraging people to stick to the law. The law is there for a reason. I wouldn't like that because we all speed from time to time.
Well, speak for yourself.
I know, and I'm saying it, and now Google's going to tell the police that I speed. But
Might do.
there are, circumstances where you have to speed, overtaking, Yeah, so it's a tricky one, that, isn't it?
It is, yeah, because you might have fixed. Yeah, a lot of times the rules can be bent. I'm not talking about anything
Exactly.
really, but without that context. Have you heard about?
But the good thing about mass information gathering is it does put things in context. It puts things in a much larger context.
Yeah.
If pre-crime is predicting that you're going to do something that's maybe a bit wrong, then it also knows why you're going to do that. And so it's not going to just be blindly issuing speeding tickets. It's going to be enforcing the law in a much more thoughtful way. So maybe the internet is better at law enforcement than a Bobby on the beat.
Right. What about a cyborg Bobby on the beat?
Who can take that information directly into his brain? Yeah.
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 Or just a robot. Just a robot walking around.
RoboCop, yes. Is that worrying? I don't think it is.
No. Well, I'm not a criminal, so I don't think I'm not worried about that sort of thing. But criminals might be.
Okay, so I have also been busy updating the story idea generator
Yes.
on sci-fiideas.com.
Yep.
I've just kind of added an add-on, a bolt-on to improve it, make it a bit more random.
But it's in the same place, isn't it?
It's in exactly the same place on sci-fiideas.com. The menu bar at the top, go to writing resources, random generators, and all of our generators in there.
Okay, good.
Recommend that you check it out. Do you want to maybe have a quick look at some of these?
Oh, it's live right now.
It is live now, yes.
Generate one and read it out.
Okay, random story idea. When strange noises are heard aboard a research vessel, the crew realise that a deadly alien predator is stalking the hallways. That's a very obvious one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Boring. A hypochondriac becomes convinced that using a teleporter is giving him a deadly disease, and a young woman discovers she is pregnant despite only recently having lost her virginity to a robot in this dark sci-fi set on Mars.
Oh, God. Wow. There's a lot in that.
Yeah, it's two
that's
separate,
good.
unrelated things that are both happening on Mars.
I've got one. On a recently colonized planet, an open-cast mine is attacked by the natives. The primitive aliens believe that it is a crime to disturb the ground. A team of psychic investigators must solve the case. Why psychic investigators?
That's obviously one of the randomized
and
things.
also, why not? Well, that's what makes it random. That's what's good about it, I suppose.
Well, why not psychic investigators? They'd be very good at it. A ship carrying a plethora of Earth animals crash lands on an uncharted world, and only a handful of the crew survives the impact.
Oh, that could be really interesting.
So it's kind of like Eden, maybe. It's like Noah's Ark.
It's like Noah's Ark.
What happened after Noah's Ark landed, but on another world.
I think Noah got drunk and went in a cave.
Then somebody saw him naked and had to die or something.
No, I didn't die. He just got severely punished.
Okay.
I don't know. Let's not dwell on that. In the near future, a team of engineers creates a machine that can blind everybody in a 5-mile radius. When this creation falls into the hands of a malevolent alien power, he must fight to stop them from using it to destroy humanity. The story ends when all the characters commit suicide. Fortunately, it turns out just to be a simulation.
Oh dear.
I hate stories that end up like that. Fortunately, it's all just a dream.
When a man is abducted by aliens, a clone is created to replace him. The story is told from the perspective of both the original and the clone.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. I think there's another random version of that says it's the president of Earth is abducted.
Right.
That would be
right.
Just to make it a bit more interesting. When the technology to create stable artificial wormholes becomes available for the first time, world governments scramble to secure wormhole links with their major trading partners. When British Minister of Transport David Underhill travels to India to negotiate a new wormhole link between the two countries, he finds himself blocked at every turn by his rivals from the US and China.
That sounds really interesting.
A bit of a political drama.
I'm not sure how... it doesn't sound like a really thrilling sci-fi story.
It doesn't,
It
no.
sounds like it's about a minister going to talk about transport links. I mean, it's not action-packed, is it?
No.
But I suppose you could add extra things to it. There might be baddies along the way. You want to kill him. He might be also trained in martial arts. We don't really know much about David Underhill.
Well, the political rivals, what lengths are they willing to go to secure these trade links are very important. Maybe they are employing cyborg assassins to prevent his trade mission.
Yeah. When crew members are found dead, one after another, aboard a science vessel crewed by dolphins, the crew realise that the ship has become infested with dangerous alien critters.
Right.
So simple idea, but
so it's Alien starring dolphins.
Yeah.
I like
now,
that.
Now, how do dolphins work in space? Would they have their own? Because obviously in space they don't need arms and legs. Hang on, can a dolphin float around?
Well, they'd have to be. No, they wouldn't have to be in water, would they? They're mammals.
No, they wouldn't have to be in water.
They wouldn't be in
what
water
about the
because
the skin will dry out. Well, they can't just be in space.
Oh, well, you could have like spraying them, making the inside of the spaceship wet so that they don't dry out.
If you put a dolphin in a really like a tight suit, like a bag. If you just put a dolphin in a bag of water,
like in a cat suit, it will moisturise them. Yeah,
because they're not breathing the water, are they?
No.
The water's just there because.
But I wonder how well they'll be able
to
move around in air though, compared to water, being a less dense medium. No,
yeah, and the tail wouldn't really do much.
No.
I assume. Well, these dolphins would probably make a spaceship and fill it with water.
No, they wouldn't though. But if there's no gravity, then they can't go to the surface to breathe. So it would be better to not.
They'd have spacesuits.
Yeah.
I think.
Or you could have a ship with artificial gravity and filled with water.
Well, if they made a spaceship or space station with some sort of gravity plates, then they could walk around in big mech suits. and
okay,
they could be like
getting weird now. They
could be in this like bubble in the middle.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, that would be the ideal thing to do, like when they go down to a planet. But surely in the actual spaceship, they want a bit more of a natural environment.
What I imagine now is this spherical bubble that this dolphin's in, with breathing apparatus. But he's sort of sat in this little car with tracks.
Okay, right.
And then he can drive around the surface of a planet.
Yeah.
Sort of like a tank track.
Yeah.
Why can't this be a thing?
Well,
I'm
imagining that the dolphins haven't done this themselves. I'm assuming that we've trained dolphins to do this. So then just, I don't know, putting them in mech suits seems like an extra
Don't be
length to go
Dolphins
to.
are very smart creatures.
Yeah, but...
but they've got no hands. How do they make things?
Well, maybe we've given them human rights, which is kind of an ongoing issue. Should chimps and dolphins have rights?
Yeah, but have they got human rights to have hands?
Yeah, well, maybe their rights have extended to the point where we manufacture kind of dolphin wheelchairs so they can get around.
Have dolphins got the right to have a wheelchair?
Email us at admin at SciFi Ideas and let us know.
Yeah, I think we should encourage people to send us more ideas like this. So you can get in touch with us. What do you say your email address is? Admin at SciFi Ideas.
Yeah, or Mark at SciFi Ideas.
You could send us a message to Twitter at sci-fi_ideas, or put a message on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/sci-fi.
Yep.
Yep. Right, do that now, people.
Yes.
Send us your crazy ideas.
And let us know your thoughts on dolphin human rights, cyborg rights, and what else have we talked about?
Verbosely death cults.
Yes.